Welcome back to the iAchilles channel, everyone. Today I want to talk about David Axelrod's comments on the Sunday show this weekend. Talking about Boehner, talking about extending the Bush tax cuts for the middle class. And which is shocking to me because, I mean, for the last 2-3 years, the mantra from the left has been Bush tax cuts were for the rich. And for the rich alone. Exclusively for the rich. And Barack Obama was going to raise them. Simple. He was going to sunset the Bush tax cuts. Well, come to find out, all of the Bush tax cuts. Well, come to find out, apparently, there were middle-class tax cuts in the Bush tax cuts as well. So Obama was going to raise taxes on the middle class. But because of this fight that's going on, the election's coming up, they're talking about the Bush tax cuts, we've got a jobs problem in this country, so raising taxes on the job creators is just stupid. It's stupid. Unless you have an ulterior motive, which they do. But we'll stick to this right here. Axelrod says we can't not go back to the failed policies of the past that got us into this mess. See, David Axelrod's standing there. He's got his hands behind his back. But you know what? Nobody can see it. I can see it. But none of these useful idiots can see what he has in his hands. What's behind his back? And then I see Barack Obama and I see him standing there with his hands behind his back. What is behind your back, Barack Obama? What is behind your back, David Axelrod? You know what's in their hand? A shovel. They want you to believe that this hole that America is in was dug within the last 8 years. And that the last 8 years brought the most powerful country to its economic needs. Do you understand that? But the reality is David Axelrod has a shovel in his hand. Barack Obama has a shovel in his hand. Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, the Progressive Black Caucus, all of the left, and including the federal government, anybody who's been there, has a shovel in their hand and have dug this hole. They want you to believe they had nothing to do with this. They walked in as Bush was walking out and then, oh wow, surprising, look how bad it is, and we didn't realize it. These are the best and brightest that we have, and now they're saying, oh, we didn't realize how deep this hole was. Put down the shovel, Axelrod, because we know you were in on it. We know all of you were in on this. And why didn't anybody go to jail? Why didn't this federal government prosecute somebody? Because there were no laws broken. Everything that happened by design. Do you understand that? That is why they took all the architects of this collapse and brought them into the White House. This was designed to fail in order to change our system. And our system is capitalism. They want you to believe it was unfettered capitalism that brought this down. But the reality is it was targeted regulation and deregulation designed to fail that brought us down. By design. How long does it take to bring down the U.S. economy? How long does it take? Does it take 8 years? Really? Does it take 8 years? No. It takes many years. 60. Around 60 years. This began in the 1960s to hasten the fall of capitalism. Before this, they tried to do it in the street. They tried to get people to go against the federal government during the Vietnam War. Look at what they're doing to us. Look at what they're doing to us. And they fought against them in the streets, and they were cracked down upon, the Weather Underground. They were cracked down. They were stopped. They were defeated in the streets. Saul Alinsky said that's not how you do it. You work within the system. You create crisis using the Cloward Piven strategy, crisis strategy, within the system. You must poison the system if you're going to bring down this country. You must create regulations that empower corporations, that create monopolies, which means they no longer have to abide by the free market rules. They don't have to sell a good product because you have no choice but to buy their product. These were designed Banking regulations were lifted. The Glass-Steagall Act was lifted as a quid pro quo to the Community Reinvestment Act, which was designed to bring down the housing market, to bring down the financial sector. And it worked. Gangbusters. Now, if they could put these plans, plans that actually would create jobs, create a strong economy, they would. They would, and they could. But that's not the plan. The plan is to bring this country down, to fundamentally transform the system of the United States of America. And that's what it is. They believe that it's equality throughout the world. Social justice, equality. We need to be on a level playing field with the rest of the world. Does that mean that we bring up the rest of the world to meet us economically and financially? No. It means bring us down to them. Lower the standard of living in America to level the playing field around the world. That's not freedom. That's not economic freedom. That's our federal government standing in the way of prosperity for the American people. Standing in the way of prosperity. Putting roadblocks in the way of your economic stability, your financial well-being. No longer will you be able to go out and start a business. You have to jump through government hoops to do it. That's prosperity. That's freedom. It's not. It's designed to fail. 1960s Cloward and Piven strategy. It's designed to hasten the fall of capitalism. It means you work within the system and you create policies, foreign and domestic, that are designed to fail. Here's a policy, NAFTA. You know what NAFTA does? NAFTA redistributes the wealth redistributes the wealth of America to third world nations via jobs, via the trickle down. Because everybody knows you cut taxes for the corporations, and the trickle down is jobs. Jobs come from these tax cuts. But what they did is they outsourced. They created a pipeline for the trickle down through NAFTA. The Democrats did this. Democrats and Republicans, the federal government did this. They took jobs from American people and gave them to other countries. Why would you do that? Is that sustainable? No. Common sense says that's stupid. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Take money out of the people, out of the hands of the people, out of the hands of your. How do you grow economically that way? Small businesses. How do you get jobs if nobody has money? Nobody has a job to hire you to do anything because their job has been outsourced. They want you to believe that the corporations outsource these jobs all on their own. All on their own. And nothing could be further from the truth. Our federal government is taking the power from the people and putting it in their own hands. And they're doing it by destroying our way of life. They're doing it by taking our jobs away from us. If Obama really cared about this outsourcing of jobs like he says, he cared for the middle class, he could put a stop to that. He could take NAFTA out, rewrite it. Say this policy no longer works for America. So we are now going to change it. And if anybody in the world that we have an agreement with here does not like it, too bad. We are going to start looking out for the American people. No. Our foreign trade policies, we have a deficit. Why? Because they want a deficit. It's redistribution of wealth. It's the destruction economically of America and its people. That is what they are doing. I'm sick and tired of hearing how corporations, you just want to give tax cuts to corporations that outsource jobs. Why are they outsourcing jobs? And if they are, stop it. Put a stop to it. They don't want to. They want you to believe it's just the corporations. It is government that created the climate with the unions, forcing these companies out of the country. We have a global economy, remember? They don't need to be here. If you create an environment that is not hospitable to them, they will leave. That is common sense. But they want them to leave. And they're projecting responsibility onto the corporations instead of looking in the mirror. And these useful idiots are believing it because it's class warfare. It makes you feel good to go after rich people. But how many poor people have you got a job from? None. God bless America.